After that really nice stretch of weather we had, looks like it's going to be turning much colder. A slap in the face to a lot of people who likes this nice mild weather out there. And our first decent snowfall across portions of the mountains as well. That's why we have some winter storm watches in effect for the Azurkas, also over here across the Bighorns. These go into effect at 12 p.m. on Saturday, but I think the worst impacts will probably be after the sun goes down on Sunday night and the first Saturday night, I should say, into the first part of Sunday. Also over here you see a red flag warning across Campbell County, kind of out of our area. Could be some elevated fire weather today when the winds pick up, especially today from Casper over here toward Rock Springs. Humidity won't be quite enough for red flag warnings, but definitely some elevated fire weather here. I wouldn't suggest burning here. Next thing we look at, this is could be some strong thunderstorms with that cold front coming in. Have a marginal risk of severe weather anywhere from, say, Thermopolis, Riverton, onto the west. Main threat out of these, I think, some small hail as well as some gusty winds. Could be one or two severe storms though, but that's not the big story. And also, this looks like a fairly wet system as well. You can see, now we can't nail this exactly, obviously. We're not going to get exactly 0.79 in Lander, for example. But you see the general trend here. Basically, the further north you go, the more precipitation you'll probably see. Anywhere from, I'd say, about a Big Piney to Lander over toward Casper line and down to the north. At least a 1 in 2 chance of seeing a half an inch of precipitation. And up here across the north, bare chance of seeing an inch. So generally, think about that. South to north. Further north you go, better chance of seeing some steadier precipitation. Now this will fall over kind of a longer period of time, so I don't anticipate a lot of flooding problems out of this at least. The other thing is, it's going to turn much colder. And these are the difference in high temperatures from today to Sunday. Now, this is the change in temperatures. These aren't the actual temperatures on Sunday. It's not going to be minus 30 in Riverton. It's not going to be minus 35 in Casey or minus 34 in Buffalo. That's not going to happen. Just a change in high temperatures from Friday through Sunday, basically. So, for example, Casper, it'll be about 80 degrees for a high today. Probably might be about 47 degrees as we head towards Sunday. So again, change in temperatures, not actual temperatures. And let's take a look at the winter weather impacts. Some levels remain pretty high through the Friday night. The cold air really isn't arriving by then, so about 9,500 feet. So if you have to travel tonight, you'll probably be okay. Now, snow levels will begin to drop as we head toward Saturday, especially in the afternoon and nighttime hours. Snow levels dropping down to 7,000, maybe as much as 6,000 feet. Now, the worst travel conditions if you're going over the passes, I think, especially Beartooth Pass, Powder River Pass, as well as Granite Pass, maybe even Togety Pass, will probably be during Saturday night and the first part of Sunday. Anything that falls during the day on Saturday with the warm temperatures and still decent sun angle will probably end up melting on the roads. Now, those of us in the lower elevations where most of us live, should be largely rain, but things get a little bit colder. It could be we could wake up to a coating of snow, I think, especially across northern Wyoming. Places like Cody, Meeteetse, Dubois, maybe even down to places like Crowheart. Anywhere about 6,000 feet above sea level on higher, see the best chance of seeing that. Now look at the snowfall, probably what you're waiting for, probabilistic stuff. At least this much snow, I think. If it stays a little bit warmer, nothing in the lower elevations, but I think pretty good chance of seeing at least 6 inches across the higher elevations of the Bighorns, the Wind River Range, as well as the Azurkas. Maybe a few inches here across the higher elevations of the Tetons. Now if it gets a little bit colder, a little bit wetter, likely highest amount we'll see, maybe locally up to 18 inches across the very highest elevations of the Bighorns around Cloud Peak. From Gannett Peak, maybe as much as 18 inches there, also the Azurkas, but probably anywhere from about 12 to maybe 15 inches if it gets a little bit wetter. Now the lower elevations, maybe a coating around places like Jackson up toward Moran Junction. Yellowstone area for about 1 to 3 inches, a little bit high more as you go in the mountains, obviously. Places like Cody, maybe even Lovell could maybe wake up to a coating of snow, especially on Sunday morning if things get a little colder. Maybe 2 or 3 inches of slushy snow around Dubois. Even around Lander, maybe a coating of snow if things get a little bit colder, but again, only a 10% chance of this happening. Now the most likely scenario we'll see is right here. I gotta get a new clicker. I gotta throw this thing in the garbage. Anyway, looks like maybe nothing in the lower elevations. Maybe around Cody, seeing the best chance of seeing a little bit of snow. Also around Dubois, maybe up to 2 inches of wet, slushy snow there. Mountains, seeing the most, obviously. General rule, anywhere from about 6 to 12 inches across most of these mountain ranges. Maybe locally up to 18 around the higher elevations, mainly above about 10 to 11,000 feet. Across the western mountains, about 1 to 3 across Yellowstone, those of you heading there. Maybe up to 6 or 7 inches across the highest elevations of the Tetons. And here's our resources. You want weather, just go to our website, weather.gov/RIW. You want road conditions on the web. Again, don't call us for the road conditions. Go to y.e right from the source here. wireroad.info if you want to get on the web. On the phone, you want to call them, 511 if you're in state, out of state, 1-888-WILD-ROAD. Be safe, everybody. Enjoy your weekend.